about you. News travels fast around here. But there were almost 100 bangers that day, and every finger found a trigger.
It looks like the upcoming Punisher special presentation is shaping up to be more like a full-on movie rather than just a typical MCU special. Marvel is set to release it on Disney+, and honestly, I'm pretty convinced we just found out which Punisher storyline they're adapting for Jon Bernthal's big return. So let's break down everything we know about this special presentation turned movie and what Marvel seems to be planning for the Punisher. Jon Bernthal might have just given us a huge hint about the perfect story for his upcoming MCU special presentation as the Punisher, and honestly, I'm all for it. We first saw him step into Frank Castle's shoes in Daredevil Season 2 on Netflix, and since then, he's completely owned the role. With the Defender saga officially being part of the MCU now, that means Bernthal's Punisher is officially in the mix too. This also means he gets to return alongside Charlie Cox's Daredevil and Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin in Daredevil Born Again. But that's just the start, because Marvel has much bigger plans for him. Back when Daredevil Season 2 aired, Punisher became such a fan favorite that he got his own spin-off series. And now, it looks like history is repeating itself. In February, Entertainment Weekly confirmed that Bernthal's work on Born Again actually sparked the idea for a new Punisher story, one that's now set to be explored in an MCU special presentation. The idea of seeing Bernthal's morally great, no-nonsense vigilante getting a proper spotlight in the MCU is beyond exciting. And now, it looks like Bernthal himself might have just teased the exact comic storyline they're adapting for his return. Bernthal recently shared an image from Punisher Volume 2 number 53, which kicks off the Final Days arc. If that's not a huge clue, I don't know what is. Given that Bernthal has been playing Frank Castle for nearly a decade, it makes sense that he'd have a deep understanding of the character and the best stories Marvel has told with him. And if he's specifically highlighting this one, then there's a good chance Final Days is what Marvel is looking at for his special presentation. Final Days is a smaller, more grounded storyline, and honestly, that's exactly the kind of story the Punisher needs. We already know Bernthal's Frank Castle is returning in Born Again, and it sounds like Daredevil might be the one who sets him on his next mission. If that leads directly into his special presentation, Final Days would fit perfectly. It's a no-frills, street-level story that focuses entirely on Frank Castle's brutal sense of justice, which fits Bernthal's portrayal of the character like a glove. So, what's Final Days all about? Well, in Punisher Volume 2 number 53, Frank takes down a drug operation in an underground lab and discovers that a dangerous criminal named Howard Neese is the supplier. Neese is bad news, not just for Frank, but for Wilson Fisk too. In fact, Kingpin is so fed up with Neese interfering in his business that he actually decides to work with the Punisher to take him down. But because Kingpin never does anything without leverage, he kidnaps Frank's ally Micro to force him into the job. That sets up a brutal chain of events that sees Frank caught in a much bigger game than he expected. It's a dark, gritty, and personal story that really gets into what makes the Punisher tick. There are no cosmic threats, no multiversal madness, just Frank Castle, his mission, and a whole lot of bad guys in his way. And that's why I think Final Days would be a perfect choice for an MCU special presentation. It highlights everything that makes Frank such a compelling antihero: his moral ambiguity, his ruthlessness, and his deep loyalty to the people he considers friends. It's not a flashy, high-stakes spectacle, and that's exactly why it works. Marvel could easily adapt it into a 1-hour special presentation, and it would be the perfect way to fully reintroduce Frank Castle into the MCU. And speaking of Micro, Final Days could actually bring back one of the best supporting characters from the Defender saga. If you remember the Punisher series from 2017, you'll know that David Lieberman, aka Micro, was a huge part of Frank's story. He helped Frank uncover the conspiracy behind his family's murder, protect his own family, and ultimately fake his death to escape danger. In Final Days, Micro is taken hostage by Kingpin, which means if Marvel adapts this arc, they'd need him back. The only problem? Eben Moss-Bachrach, who played Micro in The Punisher, has now been cast as Ben Grimm, aka The Thing in Fantastic Four. Now you'd think that might be an issue, but honestly, it doesn't have to be. Since Ben Grimm is a CGI-heavy role, there's nothing stopping Moss Bacharach from reprising his role as Micro in the special presentation. And let's be real, fans would love to see him return. Plus, this would give us another round of the ever-tense rivalry between Punisher and Kingpin, which started back in Daredevil Season 2 and will likely continue in Born Again. Looking at the bigger picture, this special presentation could be a sign that Marvel is finally getting back on track with a strategy that works. The MCU has been in a bit of a rough patch lately, with too many projects coming out too fast. But special presentations could be the perfect solution. Instead of overloading audiences with full-length movies or multi-season shows, these hour-long specials let Marvel tell focused, character-driven stories without the commitment of a bigger project. And honestly, we need more of them. So far, Marvel has only released 2 special presentations, Werewolf by Night and the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Both were praised by fans and critics, so it's pretty strange that Marvel took nearly 3 years to announce another one. But with the Punisher special now on the way, it looks like they're finally bringing the format back, and they should keep it going. There are so many characters who could thrive in this format. Imagine a special presentation about Isaiah Bradley's time as Captain America during the Cold War, exploring the dark and tragic side of his story. Or Marvel could use this format to introduce new characters who might not be big enough for their own movies yet, like Nova, the Silver Surfer, or Ghost Rider. Special presentations are the perfect way to test the waters, letting Marvel see how audiences respond before committing to a full movie or series. It's a low-risk, high-reward approach that could help get the MCU back on track. With the Punisher set to lead the next special presentation, Marvel has a chance to prove just how valuable this format can be. If Final Days really is the story they're adapting, then we're in for something special, something dark, intense, and right in line with everything that makes Frank Castle such a compelling character. And if it does well, it could open the door for more special presentations focused on other fan-favorite characters. So, let's hope Marvel keeps this momentum going, because the MCU could seriously use more projects like this. One thing I'm absolutely sure about is that Frank Castle and Matt Murdock's complicated history in the MCU makes the future of Daredevil Born Again and the Punisher spin-off even more exciting. These two have such a layered dynamic, it's hard to imagine Daredevil Born Again without those deep ties to the original Netflix series. Their relationship adds so much depth to the story, making this new chapter in the MCU even more compelling. And the best part? Episode 4 of Born Again is just the start of Castle's return. He'll probably team up with Daredevil again in later episodes, and on top of that, we already know that the Punisher is getting his own special presentation. So yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Your suggestions for future videos are always welcome in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay in the loop. And if you want, you can share your thoughts about this video in the comments.